It's in Marco Sturm. That's the nameplate. Yes.
Let's go.
It is Marco Sturm, now announced as head coach. Bruins just tweeted it out 45 seconds ago. So Marco Sturm is the next head coach for the Boston Bruins. Marco Sturm played 5 seasons in Boston, spent 4 years as an assistant coach for the LA Kings, has been an AHL head coach for the Ontario Reign. The Boston Bruins now introducing their 3rd head coach since 2017, Marco Sturm, former player, head coach at the AHL level, experience on the NHL bench of the LA Kings. He's the next guy to lead the Bruins into the future.
Toby, go get some champagne, baby. We got any Vivas in the back? Let's go. Bruins got a head coach. Chop, chop. It's our guy, Toby. He loves us. We're going to celebrate.
I don't care. It's 9:09 in the morning. Get the champagne out.
Happy hour somewhere.
Get the bubbly popping.
Woo!
So Marco Sturm in as head coach. Bruins just tweeting that out a minute ago. What do you think of this hire?
I love the hire for everything you said. And it actually rolls right into the point I was making before the news officially broke. We look around sports and we see all these bottom feeders that are perennial bottom feeders. Browns come to mind, Raiders. I'm talking about all the sports. Wizards, A's. In hockey, there is parity. Okay, you can be at the bottom, but not for long. All right? The Bruins don't belong at no damn bottom, baby. Sturm about to get them right. The Bruins are back. Look at that smile. That's a handsome man right there. That's a leader of men. If I could skate, I'd skate through a wall for him. Let's go, Bruins!
You wish your knees could handle those skates. And that's Marco Sturm, who played over 980 games at the NHL level.
Let's go.
Understands what it takes to relate to players. Understands what it takes to get through an 82-game grind. To play that at the NHL level, to coach on an NHL bench like the LA Kings, who are one of the more successful franchises in the sport.
Big facts.
And have success. Maybe not every year going deep into the playoffs, but understands what it takes to be a competitive team. Again, this is a Bruins team. Call it rebuilding, call it retooling, call it revamping, renovating, whatever you want to call it. They had to hit reset on the roster, in their farm system, with their draft capital. Now it's Marco Sturm, Don Sweeney, leading this team into the future. Cam Neely at the top of it all. They have the draft picks. They have the revamped roster. They have the veterans under contract long-term as well. Marco Sturm, the next head coach for the Boston Bruins.
Do me a favor. Grab your notes. This is what I'm doing. I want you to follow me here. I've already started.
I'm not throwing them in the air.
I've already started my questions because he's coming here to Boston, has entered the chat. You know he's going to interview with us. So look, here, tell the people what my first note. What's my first question to him? Go ahead and read that to the people.
How long till you bring the cup back to Boston?
I think it's a fair question.
It is.
I think it's a fair question. But the clock starts now, baby. Let's go.
My question will be, what do you see in a Casey Middlestat? What do you see in an Elias Lindholm, a David Pastrnak, a Charlie McAvoy?
Maybe you should go first.
Middlestat, again, 26 years old, good center, 6'1", 195. Had 150 points in his last 225 games played at the NHL level. And comes from the Avs, who have championship experience as well. It's with these trades. What do you see in the prospects, like a Max Wanner, who was part of that Trent Frederick deal? It was the same thing of some of the guys they get back, former Bruins players, guys that are new to that Bees sweater.
Sure.
The big thing, though, is, to your point, and that's what
you should ask first, then.
That's what the goal is.
Yes.
It is a cup.
Yes.
It is not getting there and falling short.
That's right.
It is not having fantastic regular seasons, getting bounced in the first or second round. It is getting back to contending for cups.
Okay.
But how you get to that point, how soon till the cup comes back to Boston?
Sure.
The question is, what do you see with this roster? Who are the pillars? And what about you makes you the guy that you can develop this talent?
If you're establishing the culture, how do you want to build this Bruins team? Is it speed? Is it skill? Is it physicality? Is it all the above? Is it a balance of all the above? Is it stars? Is it a system? I think there's a lot of questions here to be asked, obviously, but the main one I'm asking is, how long till we back on the top where we belong? Because that's what I want to know. And that's what this man, we're hoping, brings to Boston. I'm ready for it, George.
Just think about the total imports they got at the deadline. Just the deadline alone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players, whether NHL level or in the system. They acquired 7 more draft picks, one being the conditional draft pick from the Panthers as well. That was Brad Marchand, 36 years old. Charlie Coyle, 32 years old. Brandon Carlo, 28. Justin Brazeau, 27. Trent Frederick, 26. All traded at some point. Bring in Casey Middlestat, 25. Lauco, 23. Wanner, 21. Minton, 20. Zellers, 18. Some of those guys not ready for the NHL yet. Guys are just prospects. Other guys that are seen as NHL players are at that point already. they chose a path. And with this Marco Sturm hire, it also reflects what the vision is for this team.
Yeah.
Again, it's development. It's not bring someone in that can get the most out of a team, but eventually that voice runs dry in 2 or 3 seasons.
Sure.
It's someone that can develop the young talent and make it, it's again, sustainable success.
I'm excited. And the Eastern Conference, too, you know, a lot of those teams are older, if we're being honest, right? So the Bruins have an opportunity here to acquire the talent they need, get the system in place. They now have the coach. Build the culture you need, and then however many years it is, a year or 2, whatever, by the time they're starting to hit their stride, the Eastern Conference, in theory, should be wide open for the taking because a lot of these teams at the top are older.
Mm-hmm. This is big where just get the hire right, go with someone young, and it is, again, it started at the trade deadline doing the retool.
Yeah.
Get all the draft picks. Now 3 weeks away from the draft. And for Marco Sturm, someone that knows the Bruins, is familiar with working in this building. This was as a player for 5 years, but now as a head coach. Him, Don Sweeney, Cam Neely all have to be on the same exact page. What's the identity of the team? What's your coaching style? And what gets them back to contending for cups? We'll take a quick break. Boston has entered the chat. When we're back, plenty more on the hiring. Marco Sturm, the next head coach of the Boston Bruins. Travis Thomas, George Blechy. We'll be right back with you guys on Boston's entered the chat right after this. Welcome back to Boston has entered the chat. George Blechy, Travis Thomas. We'll get right to it. Marco Sturm announced as the next head coach for the Boston Bruins just minutes ago, and the Bruins now putting out a statement. Here is from Bruins general manager Don Sweeney on Marco Sturm. Throughout this process, our goal was to identify a coach who could uphold our strong defensive foundation while helping us evolve offensively. We are also looking for a communicator and leader, someone who connects with the players, develops young talent, and earns the respect of the room. Marco impressed us at every step with his preparation, clarity, and passion. His path, playing for multiple NHL teams, coaching internationally, of course, led Team Germany to a silver medal in 2018, and leading at both the AHL and NHL levels has shaped a well-rounded coach who's earned this opportunity. As a former Bruin, he understands what this team means to the city and our fans. We are embracing a new direction with Marco behind the bench and are confident in his energy, standards, commitment to a competitive, hard-nosed brand of hockey, reflecting exactly what the Bruins should be.
Okay, that's what we talked about. What do you want in terms of building this culture, in terms of building this system? It sounds like they're going well-balanced, which is great. That's the new NHL anyways, George. And we just talked about this. I called myself a prisoner of the moment because I just watched the Oilers win in overtime game 1. But that's a complete balanced hockey team. And by the way, they have a star in Connor McDavid that they had to figure out how to build around this guy. This dude was so good. His early teams, well, the defense wasn't there, but, you know, the scoring was. And then they got tougher defensively, but it was too much pressure on McDavid. Now they're a well-balanced team. We saw it last night. Skinner and net. Draisaitl's. Much better defense than over the years. And here they are, I think, on the cusp of winning a Stanley Cup. I think. We'll see. The Panthers have something to say about that. But I think the Oil are going to get it done. I use that point as to say, starting from scratch here now with the youth movement and you're building this, you have to have a vision of where the hell you're going when you're building. You don't just build. What are we trying to build? In that statement right there, he just told you. We want everything. Offense, defense, we need to be a balanced hockey program. That's exactly where the Bruins are headed, and I'm excited for it. Now, we got to be patient. Don't get me wrong. As I bring up the Oil, I'm not saying the Bruins are in the Stanley Cup Finals next season, although that'd be great. But I am saying we have to exercise some patience, but at least now we have a blueprint for what we're building. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is a guy that was leading the Ontario Reign in the AHL the last 3 seasons. 4 years before that, on the bench for the LA Kings. And in his final season as an assistant coach, helped lead them to their first playoff berth, Stanley Cup playoff berth in some years. We saw him as a GM and a head coach for Team Germany. There's international experience. There's NHL experience. There's AHL developing experience. Along with the Reign, leading them to playoff berths time and time again throughout his tenure there as head coach. Then you go back to what he did in 5 years, from 2005 to 2010, being a player for the Bruins and also as well being a guy throughout the NHL in his playing career. Over 980 games played. Relates to the players, knows how to develop young talent, and knows what it takes to coach at the NHL and international level. That's Marco Sturm. Let's take a look at Twitter. Let's see the tweets coming in reacting to the Marco Sturm hiring for the Boston Bruins. Nate, at the Nate. Project, Bruins, LF. There's a photo of Marco Sturm, winter, the game-winning goal he had. Dino Mack at NHL Bruins. Great pick. Short, to the point, simple. Agree with you on that one, Dino Mac. Byron's Bitz's burner. Okay, that was a good one. A German head coach back in my life. Everything's gonna be fine. Is that
Yes,
Jurgen
Lord.
Klopp?
Yeah, it is.
Is that
Hype.
him?
Look how hype he is. Ah!
Liverpool Bruins overlap there. Jim DeMarco, please bring back physical, fast, big, bad Boston Bruins style hockey. Back. A bunch of dots there from Jim DeMarco. I mean, we heard it from Don Sweeney in a statement. Zubik just tweeting
Look at
out that
him.
big smile from Marco.
That's a handsome man right there.
The excitement, and to your point, Trav, a head coach being named.
Yes.
A vision now of the team, how it's
Yes.
going to be coached, who the guy is leading this franchise, and who will be developing this roster as well. And again, keep bringing it up too, who will be coaching these veterans to get the most out of them.
Yes,
David
bro.
Pastrnak got paid. Charlie McAvoy got paid. Pavel Zacha, Elias Lindholm, along with Hampus Lindholm, Nikita Zadorov, Jeremy Swayman. All those guys
Facts.
got paid.
Facts.
A lot of dudes. Then there's the younger players that we saw the flashes. Can it be sustainable? Matty Patra, Mason Lerai. What can Marco Sturm do in this infusion where you have the pillars? You have one of the best goal scorers in the NHL in David Pastrnak. You have a deep blue line as well when we're talking about Lindholm, McAvoy, Zadorov, Lerai, young and old, guys that are inexperienced and guys that are veterans. What can Sturm do it with this melting pot of talent and experience with the Bruins?
I think he's going to do just fine. And I think you hit on something earlier, and you're right, where Marco Sturm checks every box. Experience as a player, experience as a coach, the area, understands, loves the area. That matters too. I think, obviously, you just saw on Twitter there, George, the reaction is apropos. I think people are excited for this coach. I do wonder what took so long, though, with this.
I think it's the Dallas Stars getting eliminated.
Okay.
I think, again, what was the word you used? Due diligence. You said that in hour one.
But this is a guy, in theory, you should have familiarity with, no? This should have been a week ago. What are we waiting for?
But who the other head coaching candidates emerge to be.
Yeah.
Once Dallas gets eliminated, Nikita Donskov.
Right.
He emerges. That's a guy that Don Sweeney knows. Donskov was an assistant coach for Canada and Four Nations.
Right.
Don Sweeney was a GM. I'm just saying of who I think it could be.
Sure.
When a Peter DeBoer sounds like he's on the way out with the Stars, picking up the phone. I mean, that's an actual NHL head coach, a guy that has that experience. Is DeBoer out? What's happening? But then they look at the timeline, and then they go, we need to make a decision now.
Right.
It's doing your due diligence, not leaving any stone unturned.
They did.
But also having the sense of urgency. And yes, to your point, the draft's 3 weeks away.
Yes.
You had to hire a head coach.
Hell yeah. I remember talking to you about this last week, and we were thinking Monday of this week.
Yep.
And even that was late in our mind.
Yep.
But here's another thing. I think this is advantage of the guy they have, because if you think about waiting and due diligence and being the last team to get a head coach signed, sealed, and delivered, it means they didn't settle, George.
Yeah.
I think that's a position of power too. We're not just stuck with this guy. We, as you said, every stone unturned. We waited this long. We talked to all these guys. We interviewed all these people, and this is our choice. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? You're not stuck. You're not like, okay, I guess remember back in the day when we played pickup and the last guy would be standing there like, all right, I guess you're on my team.
Yeah.
That's not what this is. This is a position of, we looked at every candidate, weighed every option. Yeah. You're our guy, and I love it.
That was, guys, Mitch Love associated with the Bruins. Jay Woodcroft, who's with the Edmonton Oilers, associated with the Bruins.
Great names.
Well, right? Then it comes into a Marco Sturm. Also a statement put out by Marco Sturm from the Boston Bruins. Boston has always held a special place in my heart, and I know how much this team means to the city and to our fans. I felt that passion as a player, and I can't wait to be behind the bench and feel it again. I'm excited to get to work and do everything I can to help this team succeed.
Bro.
That's a guy that again, and I think that was something that stuck out. As you're trying to figure out, everyone has experience. Everyone has different types of resumes, right?
Yeah.
And that was when I was looking at a Donskov and I was looking at a Marco Sturm. Well, what's the difference, right? They're both are NHL level assistants.
Sure.
Donskov has more NHL assistants experience, excuse me. Mm-hmm. But with the Marco Sturm, what stands out is that right there, the understanding of Boston. There is, and we say it all the time, Boston is one of the more unique cities to compete in for any sport at any level. It's Boston, it's Philly, it's New York. The microscope, the pressure, the stage, it's different. Especially in Boston, that is a hockey city. New York has all those teams. They got 2 NHL teams, the Devils, sure, whatever, and the Islanders. Philly has the Flyers, right? But in Boston, it's a hockey city. You go to Charlestown, On any given weeknight or on the weekends, you see roller hockey, street hockey being played. You see nets on every single driveway all over throughout New England and throughout the area. It's different in Boston. Marco Sturm understands that. And that's something that he brings to the table that you need in your head coach.
I remember when I first got the job here at Nesson and we were moving, and my kids said, "So are we going to play hockey?" And they had never asked me that in life ever, but they
even know.
We're going to Boston. Are we going to play hockey, Daddy? And
They
I was
even
like,
know.
Yes, you are. And then I got here and I saw the prices for them to play hockey, and I said, soccer is really cool. So we're a soccer family, but no diss to hockey. Brother just needs a little paper to, ice time's a little expensive.
Well, I know your son wants to be a goalie. That's a whole other level.
Facts. Now, George, I'm looking at the Eastern Conference because I said this to you earlier. We should talk timeline here if we have time to do it. But
Yeah, we do. We got time.
I'm looking at the Eastern Conference, and I told you, Lightning, Panthers, Canes, Capitals, some of the oldest teams in the NHL. So we should have the discussion of what does this retool look like timeline-wise? Because these teams ain't getting any younger. All these teams I named were playoff teams, obviously. Panthers we see in the finals. Lightning, Panthers, Canes, Capitals. Islanders also up there. That was a team that was fighting for a wild card, didn't make it. But all these teams are getting older. So as I see it in my head, by the time the Bruins are ready to compete for a cup, let's talk timeline.
Yeah.
But these teams will be getting older, and it should be a championship window and a window for success opening again for the Bruins.
You see the older age, the average of the Oilers, the
Yes.
Lightning, teams like that. The Bruins got a lot younger.
That's right.
And that's as those teams phase out, the Bruins retool.
That's all I'm saying.
To get in.
The timeline should match up.
We'll take another break on Boston has entered the chat. When we're back, our guy, Adam Pellerin, will be joining us, talking more for the Marco Sturm hire, the next head coach of the Boston Bruins. We'll be right back after this break.